So a lot of therapists are afraid to address race in therapy, and you were just talking about that a little bit. And our current political context really intensifies that. I think we make mistakes. We can be wary of what all the intensity could evoke in our groups. I know that I've been working to notice in my own body how these discussions affect me, so I can be working on it too. But sometimes, just having good intentions isn't quite enough. What would you say is the most important thing somebody like me or group therapists could be doing to address fears and move into talking about this work?
Yeah. Well, it's so much what we do outside the room, isn't it? It's what we do outside the room. So are we having these conversations in, our close relationships, and even with some of our colleagues that may not be particularly close relationships? I think one of the things that I became very clear and was convicted from a spiritual standpoint of, that as our culture became more, and this is in the US, focused on, we, they, and that's always unfortunately been there, but more recently politically, that I need to focus on behaviors that are problematic, even policies that are destructive, but not denigrating people. And that's what, that's what has gone, out on steroids now recently, right? That's like, it's easy to do. That's almost like the norm. So even for people that have political views that are diametrically opposed to where a perspective, first, my starting point is they've come to that from some values, things that they care about. I may not agree. Again, it's not about whether I agree with it, but if I respect, it really is actually about respect of their journey. Now, again, if something is killing people, is destroying people, that's where the principle stand. I cannot endorse, support that kind of policy, that kind of position. But even the person that holds that, this is where denigration of them is problematic as people. They are people. And when you see people, when it feels like they are dehumanizing, and as African Americans, we've got a long history, unfortunately, of being dehumanized in the country, but to be caught up and assume that, people are, my language spiritually would be not redeemable, couldn't change. Maybe there were other things that were, leading that. Is it their intent to harm? I'm still having enough of hope that I know motives motivate people, but I want to think still there's only a few smaller percentage of people that actually are seeking to harm other people. But again, when they're countered, the thing to stop is the harm. And we have an ethical code that says we don't, and we cannot condone that. So there are those boundaries. But again, even as we face that, to give room for everyone to exist. And that's the hardest, when you feel other people are not giving you room to exist. And that's unfortunately a truth in our country right now. But this is where who spiritually helps me transcend some of the, revenge, other reactions and retaliatory behaviors I might have. So what does, I was in a context of group presentation, and somebody actually used the term grace. They actually use that term. There is a way that you can potentially create gracious space in the group. And if you model that, so what is that preparation? Yes, what are conversations like outside? If we are putting people in the camps and have all these very heated views about people, if we think that doesn't come in the group in certain ways, it kind of does. But we're all on a journey, so we're going to have some heated views. And so what is the hope? That just like we want to tolerate a range of differences, not only culturally now, interpersonal styles, affect, all these different come in a room, in a group therapy room, then we want to increase, and I call this our muscles, our multicultural muscles outside in our lives. And the more that we can live in the midst of the heterogeneity of our world, that is the reality, and maybe seek to make bridges, build bridges, and make connections and foster understanding, then maybe we can help create that more and space for that in our groups.